This is my 96 Geo Metro, which I adore this vehicle, love working on it. And one of the problems I have with it is I could not hear when the turn signal flasher was going. So I would often drive down the road for many miles with my turn signal on, not realizing that the thing had been left on. Now you can, for $30, get a relay that has a sound to it and it makes a squeal, but it's I've heard them, they sound really sickening, and it's like, nah, I don't want that. So I thought, well, I'll go in and pull the relay out and see if I can get a noisier one. So then I tried to find online where the relay is located for this Metro, and everybody was saying that, or at least the layouts and the forums, people were saying that it was on the fuse box panel, on the corner of the fuse box panel. Well, it wasn't there. I could hear it clicking, but it wasn't here. It wasn't anywhere under here. I even went to a car parts store and had them see if they could find it. They couldn't find it either. So finally I went and I took the sockets, or the bolts out that holds the whole fuse panel in here, and it's nowhere on this fuse panel on the front. It's actually on the back of the fuse panel, and it clips in right there. And so now what I'm going to do, because it's up in there and I can't hear it, I've actually taken my relay, took my relay out, and I hooked on lead wires, extension wires, and put male ends on the female ends here and the male ends on the other. So this thing's going to plug into where the relay would normally go, and I'm going to hang this relay right about up in here so I can hear it. So, but for people who are having trouble finding the relay on this fuse box, it's because it's on the back of the fuse box, not on the front of it. And you got to pull those two bolts to get it out. Putting that fuse panel back in was an absolute nightmare. The wires were in front of everything, and there are two bolts. One on this side, that goes in easy, but the one on this side, the thing that it mounts to is an L bracket that is not securely mounted to the paneling. So you try to fit it in there and it's just moving all over. I could not get it. And then I thought about putting a smaller nut and bolt in there, and I couldn't get it down in to where it had to be. And then I thought, well, maybe I'll use a zip tie in there, and I couldn't even get that in there, so I just gave up. I just put the bolt back on that side and I left this one here. I mean, it's my car or whatever. Fuse panel will rattle around a little bit. If I ever get inspiration of figured out how to get this thing in there, I'll do it. But that was a nightmare, so it's another good reason to put the leads on like I did and relocate that flasher, so if it ever goes bad again, you don't have to mess with that fuse panel. Hey, I finally got it done. It was a headache, and I got it relocated. I don't know exactly where to mount it for now, so right now I've got it right there. I know it's kind of ugly, but if I can't hear that, then I am deaf. But no, that'll work for me for now. Maybe I might even drill a hole in here and actually have it sitting in here so it gets amplified, because I never use this for change or anything. But there we go. Okay, quick update. This thing was really bothering me that I couldn't get both of the bolts back into that fuse panel, so I pulled this part down out of the way so I could get up in there, and I could not get this bolt to go back up on the left side. So we went to the hardware store and picked up a long bolt that would go up in there. So I popped loose the bolt that was on the right, the only one hanging it on, and I pulled the fuse panel down as far as I could, and with this longer bolt I could put it through the fuse panel and then get up in there, and you could only get one hand up in there to do the work, but I could see where that L bracket was slopping around. But with being able to see the L bracket and having more room to work with the fuse panel down out of the way, I was able to finally get this started into that sloppy bracket. And so the left one got one of these long ones, and actually it went in, and the right one then got the short fuse, or the short bolt, and that went back in nice and tight. And for the blinker, I first thought I would be putting it here, but then I thought, you know, that's kind of ugly. You're going to be banging it with your knees. And then I had it up here, And I thought about putting it in here, and I thought, no, that's going to be kind of ugly. And then what I decided is I'd try something different, because when the relay goes, the blinker relay, it pulses downward like this, away from the electrical connections. And so I mounted it onto the back of this panel, so it actually pulses against the panel and makes the panel reverberate. So you can hear that, and that's not so much the sound of the blinker itself, but the pulsing into this panel. So it's out of sight, out of mind, and it works. So it's looking good.